Someday, maybe someday, I will have an intro for the show, and it'll be epic. It'll be a great tune of some sort, maybe a guitar, I don't know, drums, a percussion, just anything, really. I think as I continue to do this, every 2-3 weeks with great consistency, I aim to be less and less professional as time goes on, because clearly the whole starting off to try and be professional as a podcast is not going to work, because I just couldn't bother. Well, okay, I've got, a life, or so they say. But here we are. Welcome back, everybody, to, I don't know, what is this, the fourth? It doesn't really matter. The next episode of the TriPod podcast, which is a redundancy because the pod in TriPod stands for podcast. So it's the podcast, I suppose, also known as the pod to the power of 3. And I am your host, the one, the only Stan, aka Stanimation. And, as the one and only, I suppose that means fuck that Stan kid from South Park, or the Cup, or the comic book creator, or the Eminem fan. Doesn't really matter. Fuck them all. I'm the official Stan. Apart from maybe Stan from the Boys. I don't know. Whatever. This is just a sinking ship, isn't it? Well, how can a ship sink if it never even set sail? Find more proverbs like that moving forward. So, there's no structure to this. There will never be any structure to this. I think I'm continuously lying to myself that one day this will be something remotely professional. At this point, I think it's just me wanting to talk every now and then when I feel like it, when I have time, in between being what some would refer to as an adult, which I am never, nor should I ever be referred to as an adult, as I am basically just a kid who has a microphone. But, it is what it is. We carry on. That was, I think, long enough of an intro. So let's just get into the segments, because, let's pretend that the show actually... show. that this more than an hour shit post has segments. I need to stop saying I try editing them out. It's a lot of effort. Should I just keep it in? Just keep in all the ums. Let's go into the first segment, which I only refer to as a segment in the first ever episode, which is not even the first episode, it's episode 0, the pilot episode, as STANDout news. That ever so clever pun, you fucking idiot. And yeah, let's just get into the STANDout news. I actually made notes, but I'm just going to pretend like these notes are anything, well, noteworthy. They're not. They really aren't. It's a bunch of nonsense. Oh, before I even get into that, welcome my one and only listener, JT, I believe is his name. He accidentally subscribed on YouTube. I am absolutely refusing to believe that he actually subscribed to this, because if he did, he's either got really shitty taste, or he just needs background noise in general, and emphasis on the noise. And then second emphasis on the background, because there's no way you're actually paying attention to this. If you are, thank you. And this is your shout out. And it's the only shout out that will be there between, I don't know, the 4 other listeners. Someone actually reviewed this podcast on Spotify and gave it 5 stars. And the crazy thing is, I haven't told anyone in my life about this podcast, so nobody could actually go rate my podcast apart from me. And of course I gave myself 5 stars, but someone else also did. And on Spotify's podcast platform, there is actually proof of listening time. Someone listened to this shit. Bless your heart, bless your soul, and bless your poor taste. So, STANDout news, because we're just going to stick to that segment name, right? The first thing I think I want to talk about is just the Venom trailer. I just want to get into trailers. So let's just do the trailers off, at the top. The first thing is the Venom trailer. It's been out for a few weeks now, and that's just a sign of this episode having to have gone out a few weeks ago. But a lot of people seem to be excited about it, and it's getting generally positive feedback in the comment sections, which I'm a little bit confused about. I'm going to be honest with you, like, who's excited for the third Venom movie that's named after Michael Jordan's documentary? Is anyone excited? Venom: The Last Dance? Really? It's probably based on some sort of comic book title, I'm sure. And I'm not clued up enough on Venom's comic book runs to actually know that for sure. But surely it's got to be that, right? It can't just be the name that they chose randomly. If it is, leave a angry comment below or something. I don't know. Just, JT, if you don't agree, just comment down below and tell me I'm wrong. But I watched the trailer, and obviously everyone's raving about the Venom horse, which is pretty dope. It's pretty cool. Not gonna lie, there's no version of me that would be mad seeing a Venom horse. But I'm so tired of the Sony cinematic or universe of Spider-Man characters, or whatever, the spum universe. What's it? Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters or something like that. I don't care, man. Can't we just... Tom Hardy is so good as Eddie Brock, or at least, like, that was everyone's fan choice or fan cast back in the day, and now he is Venom and Eddie Brock in a world where there is no Spider-Man, or there is, but nobody wants to commit to it, because basically Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and probably Tobey Maguire are shitting in their pants not to be a part of that universe. You know, the whole Morbius-averse, it's Morbin time universe. It's just terrible, man. Look, I'm sure Venom 3 is going to be fine. It's going to be good. I enjoyed Venom 1. Venom 2, not as much. Let There Be Carnage, I thought was okay. I think I went into it with low expectations, and that kind of got me through it. I just enjoy, well, I suppose Tom Hardy's relationship with himself, because it's just him doing the Venom voice. But that little dichotomy, that little relationship is fun. I like the dynamic. Dichotomy is probably not the right word, but it sounds smart, so that's why I'm going to leave it in there. So, who knows, maybe it'll be fun, but he's just going to fight more Venom-type characters, isn't he? Like, it's not that interesting if there's no Spider-Man to play off of, I suppose. It's just odd. I don't know how I feel about it, but thus far I'm not enjoying it. There's even like rumors or speculation, that the kid and the mother in one of the clips in the trailer could be Spider-Man or Peter Parker and Aunt May, which would just be so stupid because it makes no sense. Just do it just do it right. Sony, you've got all the source material in the world. Just do it right. You literally have a property, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that's doing it right. Why not just do... Whatever. Let's just move on. Then the Deadpool and Wolverine movie is getting a lot of TV spots and trailers, and I suppose because I watched the 1 or 2 trailers, I'm getting a lot of recommendations to it, which I am literally blocking out of my feeds and on my pages, my For You pages, because I don't want to see it. I don't want to see more because they're going to spoil everything, and like I've seen too much, and I'm not going to mention it because, as I've mentioned before in this excuse of a podcast or thing that I vaguely refer to as a podcast, or this shell of a podcast, I tend to stay away from spoilers. I don't want to share news that could potentially spoil things for people because I want to enjoy it. I want to go in and not know too much about the behind the scenes, and you can't always avoid it if this is the stuff that you're a fan of because you're going to see it on your feeds. But I am really, really trying to avoid it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I saw too much. I don't want to see it. I want to actually go enjoy the only Marvel movie that's going to play this year. And it's soon. It's the end of this month, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm actually excited for it. I haven't been excited for a Marvel movie in a while. In a minute. I think the last one was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Was Spider-Man No Way Home. That was probably the last one that I was genuinely excited for. I can't think of anything after that I was really excited for. Was Shang-Chi before or after? Because I was really excited for Shang-Chi. I just thought it looked good. It looked like a bit of a spin on the Jackie Chan action adventures and not the animated series like Jackie Chan's style of action. But we digress as per usual because that's all this is. This is also going to be a quick podcast, I think. I just want to kind of I'm just getting in my reps, You just gotta kind of like churn them out a little bit, get comfortable on the microphone, and then soon enough you'll have a professional podcast that still has only 4 subscribers. So that's what I'm aiming for. It's the little things that count, right? It's self-improvement. This is for me. This is not for anyone else. It's just for me, really. And also for the approval of people that I don't know, to, so close to close the gap that a father that left me left. And I'm going to cut that out. Self-growth, this is so stupid. Anyway, the other trailers I wanted to talk about that's all been released as of late, a few movies that I think it's stuff that stood out for me that I want to talk about. One being Childish Gambino's new movie, Rondo. Rondo. That's the basketball player. Bando Stone and the New World. Sorry, I had to literally look up the name because I couldn't remember it. It seems like an interesting premise. It's giving a little bit of Jordan Peele style movies, the way that the trailer was laid out, but it's also revealing a lot, so I'm not too certain, but I'm excited. It's more Childish Gambino movies. More Childish Gambino music as he's doing the soundtrack for it, and it looks like an interesting film. I don't know. I'm kind of excited for it. It looks pretty solid. I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'm always excited for something original. I'm hoping it's an original premise. It seems like something new, and I like it when people take risks and artistic risks. I do like it. I think Childish Gambino is someone who's an artist at heart, and he's just finding different ways to express it, and that excites me. I think it's going to be better than fine. That's what I think it's going to be at the very least. But who knows? I'm excited to see it's got an IMAX release that's going to happen, so I would like to go see it in IMAX, and yeah, I'm excited for that. Then there was also, So, okay, let's first get to the smaller news, the Kite Man news. I see Kite Man got a trailer for his series. Can you believe Kite Man, out of all comic book characters, has a series before, there's an official big series for, Wonder Woman, or... That's crazy that Kite Man... I do understand he was a pretty popular character in the Harley Quinn series, which is a really good animated series. And now Kite Man's getting an animated series, which is just... It's absurd. There are so many comic book properties that I think people would have wanted to see a series of, even animated, before Kite Man, and we're just getting a Kite Man animated series. I haven't watched the trailer. It's open on one of my... Open? Why am I saying it like that? It's open. Is that the correct? Open. It's open on one of my tabs, and I will definitely watch it. Kite Man, hell yeah, official trailer. But we'll get to that. Then there was also... This is the other trailer I wanted to talk about. Red 1, starring Chris Evans and Dwayne the Rocketeer Johnson. The movie that Netflix has been... I think it's Netflix or The Rock or the studio, $7 Studios, has been threatening us with for, I don't know. I think I've known about this film for 2 years now. I feel like the build-up to this film has been longer than the build-up to Batman v Superman the first time around. And am I the only one that's rocked out, Not to the music, the actor. Dwayne, just take a rest, man. After the whole Black Adam thing and some of the stories I've been hearing, just take a seat, man. We're all excited for your, what's that, Studio 24, whatever that film studio is, film where you play a former MMA fighter, or whatever the case may be. I'm sure that'll get you into the nomination speaks or talks. I can barely talk tonight. I can barely speak tonight. I'm sure you'll do fine, but can we just take a rest, man? I think it'll be a fun movie, and the thing is, I'm still one of those fucking idiots that are going to go watch it because it's a Christmas movie. I'm a sucker for Christmas movies, Christmas themed movies. I mean, you literally have J.K. Simmons as Saint Nick. Why would I not watch it? It seems great. I like the idea behind it. I like the premise. Chris Evans is fun, I think. Sort of. I like serious Chris Evans. Comedy Chris Evans, also fun. But I like him more as comedy Chris Evans. But as serious Chris Evans. Especially after the whole Captain America role. I thought he played that really well. But who's this for? does The Rock still have a good reputation left in the industry? Because there's so much things that have come out and like after his little run in WWE earlier this year and everything that just, I don't know if it's the time, man. I don't know if it's just, I'm just rocked out. I don't know if he's the Bok. Maybe he still is. Maybe I'm giving him a hard time. He's between a rock and a hard place. I needed to make that joke. But, whatever. I'm just going to go watch it and I'll give my opinion then, I suppose. But after the whole thing of that came out about him and Ryan Reynolds getting a disagreement on set, and there's been stories about Ryan Reynolds also not being easy to work with, but that was from TJ Miller, who then also had weird accusations against him. So I don't know what to believe anymore. I feel like it's easier to believe that The Rock might be a little bit more difficult to work with, given a lot of his actions that I've seen over the past few years. Whereas Ryan Reynolds is on good terms with like Hugh Jackman, who, from what I've heard, is probably one of the nicest people in Hollywood. So I can't see Ryan Reynolds being that big of a dickhead, if maybe not just somewhat a dickhead. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't know. It's just, I'm probably going to watch that movie. It's pathetic. I'm pathetic. Holy shit, I just realized in my standout news, I didn't even talk about two things. One being the set photos of the new Superman. I forget his name now. What's the David Corrin set or whatever? And the suit quality. And like people having certain concerns about the quality of the suit because of the folds by the armpits and stuff like that. And it looking a bit, I don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy-y, which is a bit of a judgment of James Gunn's directorial, him taking control of DC. Now, I don't want to go too much into it because I hate that I'm seeing as much set photos as I have been, because I really don't want to see it. But it just so happens that I have been seeing it, which is unfortunate. And I think the only thing I wanted to say about that is like the suit does look shitty in person, but Robert Pattinson or Robert Twilight Pattinson, the Bat Pattinson suit also looked shitty when you saw it on like a stunt person, and some of the on-set photos that were released when he was on the bike, it looked really crappy and I was very concerned. And then we saw it in film and it looked great. And then you look at some of the fittings, like Christian Bale's Batman suit fitting, even Robert Pattinson's Batman suit fitting, it didn't look as great, but once it was on screen and kind of adjusted afterwards in post-production, it looked great. So I'm hoping Superman's suit will do the same. Because judging from Peacemaker and also the Suicide Squad movie, I think James Gunn did a really good job at making the comic book suits not look too ridiculous and kind of good. So let's hope that stays that way, but I am a little bit concerned because it does not look too great. Because I remember seeing like Ben Affleck's Batman suit on set and Zack Snyder's Man of Steel suit on Henry Cavill on the onset photos, and it looked great just because of the way the suits are designed. They were designed in a way to look good even in regular, lighting. So I'm hoping it looks good in post-production, which I'm going to be cautiously optimistic on that. But yeah, that's just something that I wanted to touch on, which is just, I know people are up in arms about it, and people are very divided on that suit. But thus far for me, even though I'm a bit like, it does look quite shitty behind the scenes, it's not meant to be seen behind the scenes. It's meant to be seen in production, post-production. So let's hope that does kind of stick around and it ends up being great. And I can't remember if I touched on it, but there are rumors of Wolverine and Tobey Maguire's, like Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man being part of the extended Marvel universe in multiversal films. So I don't know if that's true. Obviously, because it's rumors, that's kind of the premise of rumors, you fucking moron. But I don't know if that is true, but will turn out to be true. But I kind of like, I'm a bit split on that. Like, I'd rather see... I wouldn't mind seeing Wolverine in different settings in the MCU, but I think for Tobey Maguire, even if he is in like Secret Wars, I would prefer to see a continuation of his character in like a Spider-Man 4 and see where that universe is at. Same with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I'd rather see continuations of their stories within their universe. Even though childhood me would absolutely lose his shit if he saw Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man on the same screen. So I'm excited for it. I would also like to see Tobey Maguire's own story and his story just continue. But that's kind of just it on that. I just wanted to add that in. And then this is just going to seamlessly continue into the next thing that I was going to talk about, which I'm going to give a gap right about now. Alright, so we're just going to go straight into the reviews. I'm not going to waste time on that. The two things that we're reviewing today, seeing as there haven't been many movies that I watched recently that I thought were worth reviewing, and for the sake of this podcast, I don't want to just do it for the sake of doing it. I also want to do it reviewing stuff that I actually wanted to go watch, that I was kind of excited to see, and not just do whatever. I want to watch things that I actually want to watch. I want to review things that I want to review. So if that means less episodes until I either manage to get more time or lose my job, then I'll do an episode every now and then. There's going to be no structure to this. There's going to be no episodic release every Sunday as I initially planned, or every Monday. It's not going to happen right now. I'm also focusing on my animation and everything, so it just is what it is. So I'll just haphazardly review shit. Maybe. Who knows? I don't care. It just is what it is. This is just a vanity project, really, because that's what I want for myself, and my legacy is to listen back to things and cringe the hell out of it so I can hate myself even more. Now at least my cringe is set in stone. Well, in the digital stone, I suppose. Online, forever just captured on Spotify. I should actually just put something there that eventually, if I don't revisit it in a few months, it just automatically locks me out of my profile so I can never delete it. So I can't undo the mistake of actually uploading this crap. So who knows? Anyway, I digress again. The two things that I'm going to review today, which just go hand in hand by genre, one being a psychological breakdown and the inner workings of the human condition in a way that I don't think we've seen as of late, in a way that I think was done profoundly and really well. Just a really great look into the human psyche. And then The Boys, Season 4. Yes, we're reviewing Inside Out 2, and then also The Boys Season 4. Only episode 1 to 5, because that's what I've watched up until now, and that's what's been released. I think I'm going to do The Boys first, and then I'm going to do Inside Out 2 second. So yeah, I think that's pretty much on brand. Then yeah, I don't know who this is for, really, because I don't know who's actually interested in hearing about The Boys and then Inside Out 2. But somewhere there is a cross-pollination of demographic, right? Surely somewhere in between that, there's gotta be a demo crossover. There's gotta be. I think. I don't know. I think it is what it is, you know? We're just doing The Boys and Inside Out 2, a family-friendly episode. The episode's theme is family. Isn't Ryan in The Boys going through puberty, and then also Riley, see a theme, R&R, Riley also going through puberty in Inside Out 2. It's just one is for the boys, another one's for the girls. There we got it. Literally, puberty for the boys, puberty for the girls. Explained. Anyway, let's start off with The Boys Season 4. For The Boys, I'm going to do a non-spoiler review very briefly, and then I'm going to get into spoilers, because I don't think there's a way to really review 5 episodes of a season without getting into spoilers. And then I'll get into the review of Inside Out 2, which probably will just be spoilers. I mean, there's nothing really to spoil. It's quite straightforward. But I don't see a point in doing a spoiler-free review on that. This is just for shits and giggles. So, alright, The Boys Season 4, Episode 1 to 5. just for non-spoilers, I'm not going to go through who it stars. You all know. I mean, it's the 4th season. Anthony Starr, that's who it stars. And then some other people. The thing is, I think I just want to get into what I thought was good and what was not so good for the first 5 episodes. It's still early to tell, how good the series overall is or the season overall is. But I thought, let's just go. In my next episode, I'll just cap off the season, I suppose. I'll do the next few episodes with whatever is out or whatever I watch during that period of time. Carl Urban, that's the other actor that plays in there. That's someone you guys know. Lord of the Rings' own Carl Urban. Thor Ragnarok's own Carl Urban. That's the other actor. So, getting into the good and the bad, I think there's a lot of critique that has come online about this season not being as strong as the other seasons, including Gen V, like season 1 to 3, and then Gen V, which is obviously a spin-off series of The Boys. People are saying that season 4 is not as strong as those seasons or those series, and I don't know if that criticism is as valid. I will say that it starts off a bit slower, the first episode, and it feels like there are a few things missing, but I feel like there's a point to it. But I don't know if the criticism is fair, saying that it's not as strong. I think it's pretty on par with a lot of it. I think season 3 had a bit more of a shock factor, and there was a lot of new characters introduced in very exciting ways, with Jensen Ackles getting into the series. Like, it was difficult to have anticipation for this season because I don't think there was any big news that really got people excited preemptively for the season. Whereas with season 3, obviously the inclusion of Jensen Ackles was a pretty big deal because it kind of hits that demographic of fans that watch The Boys. They would be excited for someone like Jensen Ackles, who's someone that many people have fan cast in comic book movies as either Hal Jordan or as Batman himself. So I think people are very excited to kind of see him. He's kind of like a classic internet fan favorite casting in superhero type roles. To see him in a similar role in season 3 of The Boys is just pretty much on par. So we would generate a certain amount of excitement and anticipation, especially considering the fact that he also, I believe, auditioned for Captain America. So him playing the role that he played in season 3, which is just basically a parody of Captain America in certain ways, is pretty on par. So people got to see him in a role at least akin to something that they've wanted to see him in for a very long time. So that's good for him, and it was good for the season. Season 2 of The Boys, I remember not being as impactful in terms of pivotal moments or memorable moments for me, at least. I can't recall, but this is stuff that I've watched years ago. But I do remember season 1 and season 2 especially having a very big suspense factor when it came to Homelander. And this is the first thing that I think was a bit missing in the start of season 4, or at least for me, starting season 4, is in the first 2 seasons, after you discover, obviously, that Homelander is who he is and what he is, there's this constant dread and suspense that I feel in, like, the core running down my spine whenever there are scenes where people almost get caught by him or are in real danger when he is around. And there's this like suspense factor that always gripped me to the screen because I was like, it's nerve-wracking. Like, he was a serious threat. This was like a Superman level person being an absolute psychopath. And I think in season 4, I felt a little bit less of that. And maybe that's the inclusion of Ryan by his side, which makes him not as unpredictable because now there is a limiting factor around him. Whereas in the past, there was like kind of him treading this line between wanting to be loved and accepted by the people, but also on the brink of just ripping any person apart. And there was this cunningness and evilness to him that I thought for the first episode at least of season 4 was not as prevalent as usual. So that was the first thing. The second thing I think is the world felt a bit smaller in season 4, and it feels a bit smaller in season 4. I feel like in season 1, 2, 3 there was a lot of setting changes and a lot of location changes. And the characters were moving across time and across space in different settings. Time was passing. The world felt larger. And for some reason, season 4 seems to be taking place in the same few handful of settings. And it just kind of makes, I don't know if it was a directorial choice, or maybe it was a budget thing. Maybe it was a scheduling thing, or maybe at the end of the season that we haven't seen yet, the scale grows out and expands a bit. But for the first 4 episodes, it feels very self-contained, and with the world not feeling as big and as full of superheroes as they usually do, because you kind of keep seeing the same recurring characters, it does make it feel less grandiose, which I will say didn't impact my feelings towards the series a little bit, because it feels smaller in a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you're living in a world full of superheroes, you want everything to feel grand and big and super, right? It's like it's a superhero world. You want to feel the scope of the world, and you want to see world building take place, whereas this feels very self-contained. And it doesn't help that we're very familiar with these characters by now, 4 seasons in. So obviously with it being as self-contained, you're already familiar with these people, so you're aching for a little bit of expansion, I think. And season 3 gave us that. I feel like season 2 definitely gave us that, and season 1 most definitely, because they were building the world, gave us that. So it does feel a little bit small. It doesn't feel like we're out in a real world where we are moving through this world. Maybe there's less establishing shots being used. That could be a minor thing. I didn't actually pay attention to that. I'm only thinking about that now, but maybe there was less use of establishing shots in this season. Maybe I'm imagining that, but you think about previous seasons and everything felt so grand. Now it feels like they're all just down the street from each other constantly. It doesn't feel as expansive. And I've felt that before in series, especially as they carry on, because you obviously get used to the sets that you already have built. You get used to the areas that you already have to use, so you don't expand on it as much because it's an easy way to cut back on budget and costing and all that. And I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. I would be interested to hear if other people have experienced that, but to me, that's like probably the harshest criticism I have of this. There are some other things that I'll get into spoilers, like people accusing this season of being woke and not as much of a parody on political commentary anymore, and it's kind of become a joke of itself, and a little bit of a self-parody, which I'll get into more detail, but I also want people to just shut the fuck up, because it's just doing the same thing that it already done in the first 3 seasons. Maybe now people are just more aware because it is more on the nose, but everything's been very on the fucking nose up until now. I don't think things have been that subtle. I don't think The Boys is made to be subtle. I don't think anything has been very subtle at all. I think Homelander's character in episode 4 takes a nice turn back into kind of what you expect of him, and I'm sure a lot of you who have already watched it, or at least see stuff like this on your social media, probably know what I'm referring to. But yeah, I think it does start to pick up from there again. There is some interesting character development for Homelander in this season. And I do think the cast is still great. I do think there's still a lot of stuff that works for the series. I don't think it's changed that much. I just think it's a setting and a location problem. And the scale of it feels a lot smaller, which is it's to its detriment, if I'm being honest. Because a series like this, where the premise is about superhumans and, people with superpowers, the scale should always feel big. And it feels a little bit too self-contained, but not in a grounded way, in this is a CW show with a limited budget type of way, which is a harsh criticism, and I am being overly harsh, but it's an honest one. I think it's not as extreme as I'm making it sound, but I definitely think it has an impact on the show. So that's it for the non-spoiler review. I definitely think it's pretty much on par with some of the other seasons. I don't think it is bad or worse. I just think something like Gen V that was quite recent felt greater because there was a lot more visually interesting with new characters and new settings being introduced and new personalities being explored, because you don't know these people yet, so you're getting to know, so it feels new, fresh, and good. Whereas this is something familiar, and it feels like you're retreading a lot of, a lot of foot space. So with season 3, there was also a lot more introduced, I think, within that season with new characters and the epicness of the scale of those characters, whereas the new characters in season 4 aren't as grandiose and as spectacular, so you're not really discovering a lot more or something new. It's not as visually interesting or thematically interesting. But we'll get to that. So that's it for my non-spoiler review. I'm really going to keep it brief. I still think give it a try because we're only 5 episodes in. But yeah, that just go in with those expectations in mind and maybe you'll enjoy it a lot more than what I have been enjoying it. But I have been enjoying. That's the thing. I have been enjoying it. I really have. Like genuinely, if you've enjoyed season 1 to 3 and Gen V, give it a try. I don't know what the fuck the big deal is. That's it. So, spoiler review. All right. Now I'm going to just get into the core of, let's say, the problem with the series. So I feel like the introduction of Ryan into Homelander's life has been a bit of a knock on the character of Homelander, just because he's become less unpredictable and a lot more tame. Although they do explore a lot more of the psychological effect that he's having going through puberty, going through aging as he's getting older, so he's getting gray hairs and he's bleaching his hair more, and he doesn't know how to deal with his mortality because he sees himself as this god, and he doesn't know how to deal with that also in front of Ryan because he wants to be this icon and the hero to Ryan that he never had, and he's trying his best to be just that, and it's driving him insane, and he's struggling to deal with it. And his character takes a very interesting turn because there's an introduction of a new character who I am going to butcher now. I can't remember what her name is. It's the character that is the smartest... What's her name? She's the smartest... Her superpower is that she's the smartest person in the world. I can't remember her name now, but it's the character... Man, should I Google it? Am I being a lazy son of a bitch? See, that's my problem, right? It's this character that was introduced, and it's an interesting premise for a character. Let me just quickly... The boys. Alright, while Google's loading there, the problem I have is this character that was introduced that I can't even name the character name of because it's an interesting premise, but there's nothing... Her character isn't interesting enough to where it's making her feel memorable apart from the frontal lobotomy scene in one of the episodes, which I think everyone is aware of. So, is Mage not that one of the other characters? See, I'm completely off here now with... Where's IMDb? The problem is, like, it's a character that's not that interesting that I am actually overly excited about anything here. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, generally the ratings for this season has also not been the best. And I just feel like some of it feels a bit ham-fisted, the episodes and the premises. The character that was introduced is Sister Sage. There's the word. That's why I was confusing it with Mage. Sister Sage. So, cool addition of a character being the smartest person in the world. She does a very impressive feat in her character introduction when Homelander goes to go visit her at her apartment. He actually shows up in a red t-shirt with a jacket on and a baseball cap, and it's very similar to what Clark Kent would wear in Smallville. So I don't know if that was an intentional nod, but that's kind of cool. But anyway, so she basically shows off with her intelligence because she makes some observations on Homelander, which is really good observations, and she comes across as arrogant but confident. And the best way to show that someone is smart, right, is to have her apartment be full of books, because books equal smart, right? Anyway, that's besides the point. She does a few things in the series that does not make me believe that she's that smart. I just feel like her being the smartest person in the world is not as believable because there are things that just don't make sense. There's observations that she misses, and a lot of it's implied. Maybe at the end of the series, by episode 8 or whatever, I will be absolutely swallowing my words because there is a possibility that it's revealed that everything had been her plan all along, and there's like this typical, I want to say, psychological thriller reveal of her having this grandiose plan or grand plan, and everyone was just like a pawn in her game or in a little world and just a puppet for her to play with. A lot of it is implied. There are character moments of hers that are really strong, but I feel like there's something inconsistent about her character in the representation that she is the smartest person on earth. Because if she really is, I feel like they should really make it a bit more impactful, where she only seems very smart, but also kind of dumb and reckless. But again, hopefully it is intentional. I don't want to make that judgment before we see the entire season play out, but thus far something just feels off. Something doesn't feel like she is the smartest person in the world. There are some obvious things that I feel like she misses, which they sort of reveal that she then saw coming. Like there's one point where the boys are tracking her and she basically baits them into a room so that she can get a few people to kill the boys, as an act of showing their dedication to Homelander or whatever the case may be. And then she just leaves the room. She doesn't make sure that they kill them. So I don't know what the fuck that was all about. Like, what was that her plan? You're not going to check to see that they kill them successfully? Like, you outsmarted them to the point of capturing them in a room, and then you just leave. It's that typical thing of a villain leaving the hero in a lair and then expecting them, not watching them die and expecting them not to escape, or being surprised that they do escape. I don't know, something about that just seems off. Maybe I am misreading this character, I'm misreading some things, but it doesn't give intelligent to me. Like, something about it is not very intelligent, but maybe I am just misreading the character. Maybe there are some things that are going to be revealed that everything has been intentional up until this point. But because they've left some gaps in that, if there is no reveal of anything like that, then this character, who's supposedly the smartest person in the world, is not very fucking smart. Or they're going to reveal that she's been distracted by some sort of humane thing, like a human factor, a human emotion. She does get a frontal lobotomy, which is quite rough. It's I couldn't watch. She gets the Deep to put a nail type thing in her eye in the front, like between the gap between her eye and the socket, to give her a frontal lobotomy, because that's her way of taking drugs. Because for 2 minutes she just isn't the smartest person in the world, and then they obviously have coitus. But it's just, that was the most interesting thing about her character, apart from the small little observations and manipulations she does. So, yeah, Homelander's interesting development is that he brings Sister Sage into the team, and he basically uses her to advise him. And I like that. I like that development. Like, he's dealing with his mortality and he wants someone to help him build an empire and rule the world in a way that makes sense. So he needs the smartest person in the world. Like, how would she do it? And she does seem to be a bit maniacal because she doesn't seem to respect humans or people of any sort. This is just a way for her to pass time until she inevitably dies because she's that smart, which is an interesting aspect of her, and I hope that is true. But if it's not revealed that all of this has been part of her grand scheme, then I don't see the point. I really don't. And then she's just kind of stupid for a smart person. But I suppose you can only write a smart person as smart as you potentially see a smart person. So if your perception of smart people isn't that smart, then your smart person in your story about a person being smart is not going to be fucking smart. Whatever. Maybe I'm looking into it too much, but I don't want to get stuck on that point because I see we're already quite far in, so I just want to kind of get to the points here. Let's see. Firecracker, weak addition of a character. Don't like that character that much. I don't think she brings anything interesting into the show. I understand that it's supposed to be a parody, and there's a parody of both the liberal side of things and the Republican side of things, like a left-wing, right-wing thing going on. Left-wing, right-wing thing going on. And there is a lot of political commentary, and this is the type of shit that people were getting upset about, yeah, this show's gone woke. It's always been woke. Shut up, man. Like, Look, I am not one to enjoy any sort of ham-fisted hidden agenda or message that people are trying to just shove in just to say that they did and tick a box. Just bring in good characters, bring in strong characters, bring in a strong story, and nobody's going to complain. The thing is, I don't think the characters or story are necessarily that weak that people should be complaining. I can see with Firecracker, maybe a little bit, but I feel like a lot of the fans are complaining because the series has gone too woke and it's too on the nose now and whatever, and they're making fun of this and this and this, and then people on both sides of the camps are complaining because the other side of the camp is going well. People watching The Boys and being upset, realizing now that the jokes have been about them all along. It's like, both of you shut the fuck up. Both parties shut up. One is not better than the other. This series is a parody of everything, and it brings everything to the extreme. So everyone should shut up. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Like, the whole Frenchie character and the development of him having a love interest with another man, and the reveal that this dude is the kid of a family who Frenchie killed earlier in his life. Like, that's fucking interesting. That's brutal. That's something that's inserted that adds a really interesting, like, factor to the story of Frenchie, and a really fucked up and twisted development in his life, which is absurd to me. It's so fucked up and twisted, but like, it works. It's a story line that works. And the same with, like, you watch Gen V, the character whose name I forget now, that basically switches genders depending on the form that they go into, is such a creative way of introducing a character whose sexuality and gender is so complex, because they switch between male and female because that's their powers. That's fucking creative, and it makes sense in a world like The Boys. It makes sense in this world. Nobody complained about that, or at least if people did, it got lost between the noise because it was a good story being written. I think people maybe are shitting on The Boys season 4 a little bit because a character like Firecracker is not a very strong character. I think it's an interesting premise. I kind of like where they're going with it, but she's not that impressive of a character because her powers are literally just to click her fingers and make some sparks, which I know is kind of the point, because it's also this thing that she's just a mouthpiece, and the only reason she's as famous as she is because of her political commentary show, where everything is about what she says, not necessarily what she can do. I get it, yada, yada, yada. But from a storyline perspective or a story writing perspective, if you're trying to make a character interesting, there should be something visually interesting about it. And in a world where you've got all this epicness and grand scale superpowers, it's not as interesting if she doesn't have that to back it up, you know? But it is what it is. I do get why some people don't think this season is as strong, but then there are moments like episode 4 where Homelander goes back to his childhood, quote unquote, home, which is brutal. And I don't even want to describe that scene, because if you haven't seen it and you're listening to the spoiler review, go watch it. That's the Homelander that terrified me in season 1 through 3, or at least season 1 and 2, and then some of season 3, which is a terrifying part of him, and it feels like he's slowly falling apart. And I thought that episode was a great episode to start capping that, or tipping that scale, if that makes sense. And Ryan suddenly becoming a bit sadistic in episode 5 was a weird twist. Like him having the assistant slap the director the way that she did to punish him for making her feel uncomfortable, and then laughing and sipping. Like he's slowly turning into Homelander, but he's trying to do good, but he's got a sadistic side where he likes seeing that person get hurt, which is a very big jump from the previous episode where he accidentally killed someone when faking his first save, the stunt performer, which is quite a brutal scene, but quite funny, or at least I found it funny. So there are some character inconsistencies, I will say, in the first few episodes that I do understand why people just aren't necessarily on board. Billy Butcher being as good as usual, the whole side tangent with him and Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, you know, plotting something to figure out a way to kill Homelander is pretty on par and consistent. I like that. I like where they're going with that. Huey and his story with his mom finally being revealed, and his dad being hospitalized, and getting the Gen V, and then man, that scene in the hospital, see, like episode 5, I feel like episode 4 and 5 were the strongest episodes, maybe, just because of that scene in the hospital with his father, which is just, this series has a way to just make you feel fucking sad, man, and it's very depressing at times, I'm not gonna lie, because his poor dad was such a good person, or at least seemed like such a good person, and then they just take the character and make him do awful things, which, I haven't read the comics, but I'm sure probably happens there too, but it was just hard to watch. It was just so hard to watch, with him phasing through people and just ripping people to shreds by accident. But his mother coming back, and she seems kind of like to have some sort of underlying agenda, that like a hidden agenda that we're not, like she seems devious, like something seems off, right? Like I'm not the only one that sees that, but I'm curious to see where that goes. I'm curious to see where that develops to. Starlight's story, it's alright. Like her little thing where she's going through her troubles and fighting with her identity, it's okay. I thought it was handled a lot better in season 3. I feel like that character has lost a little bit of steam in season 4, and I hope they do her justice going forward, because she had such a great, almost coming out moment in season 3 with her character taking such a strong stance, and I just, for empowering a female character, I feel like they kind of took a little bit of wind out of her sails in season 4, and I don't know if I like that, but maybe it's leading to something, and that's just me touching on a few things. Obviously, the reintroduction of Stan in the 5th episode is always welcome, because man, I forget his name, is Giancarlo Esposito, right? Or something like that. He's so great. Man, he's so great. It's always nice to see him on screen. I'm quite annoyed by Black Noir too. That character with his new, him trying to play the part is quite annoying, and I know that's the point, and I'm curious to see where that goes. Then just touching on, the Deep, there's nothing much that happens there, except for the fact that he stands up against Ashley, and this is with the manipulation of Sister Sage. I kind of like that little development, but I do dread for Ashley. Things are not going to end well for her. You can just kind of tell. Victoria Newman, not as threatening as she was in the previous season. So it's kind of I don't know. A lot of the characters just took a bit of a knock in terms of their character strength. At least that's how I feel, Mother's Milk shaving his beard. That is quite funny, that because a lot of people thought he got recast, but he just lost some weight and shaved his beard. So that's quite funny. I'm trying to think what else there was that was worth note in the first few episodes, but I'm not really, nothing's coming to mind right now. Let's see. No, I think that's about it. I don't want to go into everything. I think that's pretty good. I'm just curious to see what the outcome is going to be of Homelander's little midlife crisis. And again, I just hope that there is a larger development to the character of Sister Sage. Please, I have faith in the series. So far, it's been pretty solid. So let's see where it goes. Let's see where it goes. Hopefully, it becomes a little bit more intentional. I just think something like Homelander's little burst out at the end of season 3 where he kills that civilian just didn't have as much of a payoff as I would have hoped. There is a tendency a lot of times with cliffhangers and series where they, have a tendency to make something not have such a large impact in the next season because they kind of time skip a little bit and you're not really getting the weight of something that had happened, and that kind of felt to me like that. So maybe that's also why people felt a little bit disappointed, because it was a bit of a dip from the anticipation of what the outcome of that action would have been, if that makes sense. So yeah, there's that. And I think that's it. A-Train, great guest appearance by Will Ferrell in Training A-Train, which is that was pretty good. I enjoyed that. That was pretty solid. It looks like Will Ferrell had a blast shooting that scene. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. But anyway, so yeah, rating for the movie. If you enjoyed The Boys thus far, give it a try. That's it. It's really not that deep. No pun intended. Just give it a try. It's not bad. I think I'm going to say I'm cautiously optimistic for the rest of the season. I do hope some of the characters just get a little bit more shine and a little bit more I hope they put emphasis on some of the character development that we have been seeing over the past few seasons and really just give characters a little bit more moments. I think that's something that we're lacking a little bit in this season. But we'll see. It's still early. Let's see what happens. Now going on to Inside Out. Fuck, I'm already like an hour in. This is crazy. I need to talk less. Inside Out 2, Electric Boogaloo, which is just, I suppose, what every sequel is called. I'm going to keep this review brief. Spoilers. Holy shit, did I enjoy this movie a lot more than I think I should. I don't know if I'm the target audience. I doubt it, but it got me. It worked. Like, it was emotional. This is like the Pixar of old. The fact that Pixar managed to... This is Pixar, right? Ugh, don't say it's Pixar and then it's not. It is Pixar. Yeah, it's Pixar. Inside Out 2. Inside Out and the boy. You know what's the other through line there is that Homelander tends to, and other characters tend to turn people inside out, and this is Inside Out. So, Inside Out 2 is a Pixar movie, right? Walt Disney Motion Pictures, but it's Pixar. Why am I not certain about this? Gosh, I need to talk less. IMDb. It's a Pixar movie, right? Inside Out 2 is a Pixar animation. Yes. Inside Out 2. Look, I can't remember Inside Out 1 that much, but I remember enjoying it quite a lot. But I will say Inside Out 2 is... Holy shit, it's good. It's better than it should be. Like, this movie has no right to be as good as it is. It's got a 7.9 rating on IMDb. It's got a 90% Rotten Tomatoes score, which woefully deserved. Audience score of 96%. Like, I can't... this might be one of my favorite films of the year so far. It was so good. It just took me by surprise. Because I watched If recently as well. And I thought If was really good. It was very heartwarming. I really thought it was a strong movie. There's here and there some criticisms I would have of that movie. But Inside Out 2, solid as... It's so solid. It's so good. It's so enjoyable. Like, I'm just going to get right to it. If you've got kids, go give it a try. Like, go try and watch this with your kids. And if you don't have kids, go try and watch this when there's not too many kids so it's not creepy. Like, just go watch it. It's so good. It touches on, like, themes in a way that I think is not in your face and forced for you to kind of, like, here's the message that you need to learn from this. It happens in a way that is digestible and fun and creative. And again, it breaks down the psychology of certain things in a way that is understandable to children, but also as an adult you can appreciate quite a lot. They touch on the complexity of emotions and the importance of different emotions in a way that I don't think a lot of movies would actually dare to do. And I think that's something that I used to enjoy about Pixar, is that they would touch on themes in a way that people, like, it was brave of them, no pun intended, to do stuff like that with, like, Up. In Up, opening your movie with a sad sequence that they did and just punching you in the gut straight out is so bold. And you know how much the balls you gotta have to do that in a kid's movie? To just start your movie with a gut-wrenching opening scene and just expect people to have their kids sit around and watch the rest of it. And then the rest of the movie is actually damn good. Like, that's what I feel with this movie, where it didn't feel like someone was babying me through the process of receiving a message. It didn't feel like a paint-by-numbers movie that is ham-fisting themes into it. Like, they actually addressed complexities of certain emotions in a way that's very enjoyable, digestible, and I think would leave impressions on children that are positive in a way that not a lot of movies would ever be able to do. And I think that's the beautiful thing a lot of times of animations, is teaching you stuff in a way that's enjoyable for kids to watch, but they're leaving impressions on children at a young age that potentially could lead to actions that they subconsciously learn over time, which I do think is possible. Like, they did the rare thing of getting a sequel to be, I think, as good, if not better, than the first one. And it also is enjoyable for people of all ages. So your kids can watch it, but you as an adult can enjoy it. And if your kids watch it now, one day when they're adults, they'll enjoy the movie in a way that they never knew they'd be able to enjoy it, because now they can enjoy different factors of it because they now understand it, which is crazy. It's such a creative way of doing it. And I'm not going to go into the details of the movie too much, but obviously Riley goes through puberty, so it's no longer just her basic emotions. There are some more complex emotions like anxiety, shame, boredom. What's the other one? Is it just anxiety, shame, and boredom that join? Anxiety, shame, boredom, and envy. Is it envy? Could be. Was envy the original one? What was... Wait. Cast and crew. It is sadness, fear, anger, disgust. Oh, disgust is disgust. No, disgust is the original one. It's envy. Yes. Cool. I think it was done really well. I really enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed the complexity of those emotions being added and what it means. And there's so many things that people even now as adults can relate to, and it was handled in a way that was subtle enough to be subtle, but not so subtle that a kid wouldn't be able to get it. And it was just handled tastefully. I kind of really enjoyed it. Like, there are some things that happen in the movie that are cringy, but it's cringy because it's teenagers and you're supposed to feel cringe in those moments. And I thought it was handled so well. There are embarrassing moments, there are cringy moments, there are things that I think everyone could relate to, whether you're, it doesn't really matter your gender or age or whatever. You'd be able to relate to it because it's something that we all feel, and it's something that none of us can escape. You're going to feel it. But it was handled so gracefully, and the message at the end of the film being that you should be comfortable with the fact that all of these emotions will affect you some way or shape in your life, but none of them should wholeheartedly define who you are or control who you are, because at the end of the day, you are still you, and that's separate from your emotions. Your emotions are just actions that are results of certain things being applied to you, right? Certain external factors being applied to you, and you shouldn't suppress your emotions, because that's what the emotions inside of her head, like happiness, does, is they suppress a lot of the bad memories in order for her to shape this perfect little girl. But that's never going to happen, because if you suppress those things, you're leaving out factors that could be very important learning curves for you to determine who you're going to be one day. And I thought it was handled so beautifully and in such a way that's so nice, because I think that'll leave an impression on children to not suppress certain things and, not cut certain parts of themselves out without allowing it to first attempt to shape a part of them. And I think that's really great. And one of my favorite scenes in the film is the scene where Riley literally has a bit of a panic attack when they're playing their little scrummage at the end of their hockey camp. And she's sitting in the penalty box. She got a penalty because she was her anxiety was leading her to be selfish and make decisions where she's just trying to prove herself because of a fear of failure. And she was just pushing. And she accidentally knocks one of her best friends over, who she also learns are going to move away and go to a different high school when they go to high school. Anyway, she's sitting in the penalty box and she's starting to have an anxiety attack and a panic attack. And she does the whole starting to breathe deeply. Like when she starts to come to, she does the starting to breathe, take deep breaths. She make sure that she is feeling something. So she focuses on touching something tangible so she can focus on the feel and the texture of one thing. She's trying to listen to a singular sound to calm her down. She's feeling the air around her. She's feeling the sun. And it's like this little thing that people teach you in psychology to deal with stress and panic attacks. And it's literally the steps that you need to take in order to get yourself out of a panic attack. They are visually representing in a children's movie about little characters living inside your head representing emotions. They are showing kids step by step visually how to deal with a panic attack in the real world via a character having a panic attack that's being caused by these fictional beings in her head, that's going to leave an impression on some kids somewhere. And I think that's awesome. I think it's done so creatively, and that scene alone stood out for me because it's such a great little thing to teach children and how to deal with stuff like that, because most people that end up getting panic attacks or getting anxiety never know how to deal with it, because it's not something someone ever preps you for. In fact, people just build on the anxiety because they just tell you that you shouldn't feel those things and you just need to push through it. But there is no way to just push through it. There are certain things and skills that can be taught to people to deal with it, especially kids. And that's something that I think should have happened, and this movie does it effectively and gracefully, and holy crap, and it's funny. It's funny as hell. There's a character that basically represents Dora the Explorer. It's like a parody of Dora the Explorer, and it's the character has this little pouch, I think called Pouchy, that contains like items that could help you with your adventure, with like the problem you're trying to solve, and then it presents you with 3 options, with 2 of them being obvious wrong ones, and then 1 being the obvious thing that you need, like TNT or whatever. It's so funny. It hits nostalgic tones, and there's like a character that's a representation of like your typical Final Fantasy characters, which is like an anime type character, video game character that Riley had a crush on, which is such a funny addition, and it's handled so, like, I don't want to go through everything in the movie because I kind of want people to just experience it. Like, it is something that I would say try and go watch it in movies. I'm not going to give a full spoiler review. This is like a semi-spoiler review. Try and give it a watch in cinema. If you can't, and it is something that you give a try on streaming, that's still fine. I just think this is a movie that no matter what, whether you're a fan of The Boys, whether you're a fan of animation or not, give it a try, because I think there is something in it for everyone. I really do. I think it's handled quite well. I think the film is going to end up being quite an underrated film, because it's getting good reviews now, but I wonder if it's going to go under the radar after that. But I enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, it shows the importance of dealing with it's a kids movie, and it shows you the importance of dealing with mental health and how to do so in a healthy way, and I really enjoyed that. So I think that's it for my Inside Out 2 review. But man, what a showing. Pixar, welcome fucking back, man. Anyway, now on to the next segment called Side STAN-gents, which again, so self-serving, but that's all we are here to do. That's what helps me with my mental health, is naming segments after myself. So, first thing I want to talk about, UFC 303 this past weekend. I did not watch the full fights. I watched but drips and drabs here and there, but what a fucking monster is Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira has come into the UFC seeking revenge anime style in Israel Adesanya, goes through the division, walks through them. I know he was kind of fed people, and you know, the UFC was amping up this fight between him and Israel Adesanya, and a lot of people were like, is he as good as the UFC are proclaiming he is? You know how fucking lucky the UFC is, and Dana White is, and Hunter is, that Alex Pereira is as good as they presented him to be. That is so damn fucking lucky, because this dude, we knew he was going to be a monster because he was in kickboxing, and he is huge, but coming into the world of MMA, not everything translates. It's not a one-to-one translation, but Alex Pereira is just so dominant that it doesn't fucking matter, which is astounding. This dude's left hand, like his left hook, is basically the most effective takedown in MMA. This dude, if he touches your chin with the left hook, you're going to the ground, or you're going to stumble, because there's no way you're not getting, like, it's, holy shit. He fought Yuri Proatska, and like these two guys come in on short notice after Conor McGregor pulled out, surprise, surprise, which seems to be the only thing he pulls out of his fights, because you know how many kids does he have now? He comes in on short notice after having a broken toe. Ironically, Conor McGregor pulled out because of a broken toe, and he comes in against the Yuri Proatska, who's trying to like prove himself, who's also coming off of a win, and he just dominates him. End of the first round, ends with a left hook. Yuri is on his ass. That fight would have been done then and there. And then in the second round, head kick. Left head kick, left high kick, out. Out cold. Herb Dean, obviously, in Proatska's death, gave him some chance to fight back, because that's why we love Herb Dean. And that was it. Interestingly enough, Pereira said, or at least one of Pereira's coaches said, that they saw footage that Yuri's camp posted during the fight night, or during the event during UFC 303, they posted some training footage or warm-up footage in the back, and his coach noticed that Yuri had a tendency to block calf kicks incorrectly. So he would try and check the calf kick, but he would drop his hands, and he showed the footage to Alex, and Alex said, "Oh, he's dropping his hands, show me that again. He keeps dropping his hands when he's defending the calf kick. I'm going to head kick him." And then he proceeds to knock him out with a head kick. Now, they could have made that up, but I 1000% believe them, because you can't do stuff. You cannot post training or warm-up footage of your striking against a former world kickboxing champion. That's just, you cannot do that. It's unfortunate. And I don't know if Yuri is going to be able to bounce back from this, because he's talking about if he doesn't achieve the next level, he should quit fighting. And if you already have that mentality, I don't know. I don't know if this is a bit much for him to handle. I don't know. But surely the only other thing that's left to happen in UFC is either Poatan versus Aspinall first and then the Jones fight, or just directly put Poatan against Jones, champion versus champion. Because imagine what that would do to someone like Israel Adesanya. And I love Adesanya. Love is strong. I like Adesanya. I think he's a great fighter. I think what he accomplished is fantastic. I got emotional with his post-fight speech when he beat Poatan, which is a very difficult watch for me because I enjoy both fighters equally. But maybe Poatan a little bit more. But I can't deny Adesanya for who he is. He's an exciting person to watch, and it's unfortunate his loss to Strickland, which I'll get to now. But I imagine Poatan goes and he's the person to dethrone John Jones, and that's the thing. He gets to live the dream that Izzy had. I know the two of them have been very petty to each other over the years, and they continue to do so. But holy crap, that would be... You cannot write a better story than that. So I hope that's what the UFC is planning, but I think they want to protect John Jones because his name is a cash cow, for as long as he's still able to fight or willing to fight or not being arrested or not doing cocaine or not driving into pregnant women. But that is kind of that. The only thing about Israel that I wanted to say is I feel like Israel should have just... Maybe this is a bit of a hot take, a bit of a controversial take. I kind of think Israel should have retired after he beat Poatan. Because if you look at how Israel Adesanya structures his life, he's seen this thing as an anime, right? So now he goes on and he finally gets to the pinnacle. He tries to beat this person who's been chasing him down like a typical anime, like foe versus foe story. They went their separate ways. Poatan had stopped fighting, and he saw this interview of Adesanya saying that he's going to be that guy in the bar that says, "Oh, I beat that guy one time," and then he's going to come back. And he came back and he heard that, and then he entered the same organization, the same profession, and then the same organization Adesanya's in, chased him down. And then Adesanya was arguably winning that first fight until he got caught. And it's not a lucky caught. It's fucking Pereira catching you with his left hook. He's going to catch you eventually. Adesanya made the mistake of continuously backing towards the fence, closing his own distance and causing himself to not have that space to move, because that's where Adesanya is at his best, personally, I think, is sticking in and out, which is ironic because he used that in the second fight to bait Poatan in by, again, backing up to the fence, which made me nervous. But apparently, or at least it seemed like that was his plan, to bait Poatan in so that he could counter with his right, which worked beautifully. Props to Adesanya on that. But in the first fight, Adesanya was arguably winning the fight until he backed up towards the fence and he got caught. And I know his leg was compromised, yada, 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 but he arguably was winning that fight. He got caught and he lost. Now, you got your redemption even further because now you're down 3 against this person, right? 3 zip. You're losing to this guy. 2 in kickboxing, if I'm not mistaken, and 1 in MMA. And you finally get your redemption at the end of that arc, and you beat him definitively. You knock him out cold with those 4 arrow shots to the chest afterwards. You cannot write a better story than that. But for someone like Israel Adesanya, who's living in this world where everything needs to be the story, where do you go from there? You saw the release of emotion he had during that fight. After that fight, where do you go from there? There is no more hill to climb. There is no more story to finish off. You finished your story. now it's ironically like an anime series that is continuing past its prime. Like, the main story had finished, and now we're just watching its decline because he lost against Strickland, and I God knows why. I don't know if he got distracted. I don't know what the reason is. Only he would know. I think Sean's style of backing Adesanya up, someone that moves forward, I think tends to be something that Adesanya struggles against. He's not as good off the back foot, and if he gets backed up towards the fence, he doesn't move that well. He leaves himself susceptible for shots. He's got a tendency to move out of the ways with his hands lowered, backed up against the fence. I don't know why he does that, but it leaves him open for some strikes. Maybe he's that confident in his head movement, but if you get hit enough in the head, eventually you're going to drop. So anyway, I don't know what Adesanya does from here. I hope he comes back with hunger, because it's not looking great. And I know him and Dricus have their little African championship that they need to fight for soon, which, you know, who knows? I don't know. Adesanya could absolutely turn him into another Paulo Costa, or Dricus can back him down and then he gets knocked out again. Who knows? I don't know. I feel bad for Adesanya. I feel like he really should have finished it then and there, because he's still posting a lot of petty shit about Poatan after Poatan wins, whereas Poatan's actually being quite humble towards Adesanya, and I feel like you should return the favor, man. You need to humble a little bit. Humble yourself. You beat him. Great. Now just give him his flowers, because it would make you look even better the more he wins, because then people are going to be more and more impressed by a win. But if you're the person that keeps reminding people that you beat him, it becomes less impressive. Now it's just kind of petty. You know, now people are like, you're literally that guy that's sitting at the bar saying, I beat that guy one time. So become a little bit self-aware. Stop being so full of it, man. And I say that respectfully. Not that you're ever going to hear this. Anyway, then also, just quickly, LeBron James' son, Bronny James, being drafted, or LeBron James Jr., being drafted to the Los Angeles Lakers, his dad's team, at number 55, with the 55th draft pick. Also, JJ Redick suddenly coaching the Los Angeles Lakers. What the fuck is happening? I think the reason I wanted to just talk about that really quickly is a lot of people seem to be upset about the fact that he was drafted to the Lakers because of nepotism and whatever. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Everyone should shut the fuck up. Is it nepotism? Yes. Does this mean that you need to completely rip apart a kid for being drafted because his dad's in the NBA? No, just shut up, man. If your dad was LeBron fucking James and you're a basketball player who's half decent in college basketball and you had a recent heart condition or whatever that made you struggle, and you have an opportunity to go play in the NBA with your father in his last, maybe second last season, and your father also happens to be, I don't know, arguably one of the greatest of all time basketball players, fuck you if you want to convince me you wouldn't take it. Shut the fuck up. And if you were LeBron James, you would try and get your son in as well so you could play with him on the court. At this point, you've earned it. I don't want to hear it. You've earned it. I don't want to hear jack shit. There are so many people that are upset about this that are probably where they are in life because of connections and nepotism in some way, shape, or form. Shut up. None of us really get anywhere just on the back of our hard work. That's not how that works. Some, maybe, sure. And I'm sure you're the exception. And I'm so fucking happy for you that you're the exception. You are fantastic. You are my flower child. You are my everything. You are God's gift to the world. I am so proud of you. But any fucking person that comes to me with this nepotism bullshit, I do think it is bullcrap. And I do think people that do receive nepotism or do get where they get because of nepotism, who are not self-aware, are idiots. But I will say, when nepotism takes place, it still requires quite a lot from that person that has been placed there to now sustain the position that they have received. Now, this is coming from someone who's not in a position because of nepotism, and who maybe has had some opportunities in life because of nepotism. I have been on both sides. So, to me, it's like, I have friends that maybe have a lot more because of the people around them giving them extra support, but I am literally trying to build a life with success so that one day I can offer shit to my children that I never had. right? There's a lot that I grew up without. I struggled a lot when I was growing up. Do you not think if I managed to suddenly have 500 mil in my bank account by the age of 50 and I've got children to take care of, I would not be giving them every single fucking great opportunity I could ever give them? The fact that people still carry on about this bullshit just annoys me. We all of us that are struggling, motivate each other to be able to live in a world where we can give the people that we love everything they wanted and everything they could have ever wanted. And that's why we work for success. Even if it's just for ourselves, it's to create an environment where you've got more opportunity to do more. And then as soon as people do it, because we're not the ones getting that opportunity, we want to shit on people. Let the fucking kid play in the NBA and the Lakers for a year. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Who cares? Shut up. Fucking shut up. It's just a bunch of couch potatoes being mad that this kid has an opportunity. I would be offended if he was not drafted to the LA Lakers. That would have insulted me. I would have been offended if LeBron James didn't play the manager to get him into the Lakers so they can play a season together. Let the man have his dream. This dude's been carrying the NBA on his back, partially at least, with the help of some other people. We all know, and I'm not going to even go into that, but like from your KDs and your Kobe's and your everyone carrying the league, your Stephs, whomever, let him play with his kid. It's a great story. They'll have that for the rest of their lives. Let them be a happy family, man. Shut up. I don't know why that annoyed me as much as it did, but it did. And then, speaking of people who just fucking annoy me and disgust me, Dr. Disrespect. What the fuck? What is with this here and PDF files or people that like slightly off chords, like A minors? What the fuck? I don't want to get into it. It's not something that I think I want to give a lot of airtime to. But one thing I will say is, in his little Twitter defense, he said that nothing illegal happened, nor were any actions pursued, and no criminal cases were filed. But sure, morally, it probably wasn't the best thing. Dude, you fucking messaged that. You know how difficult it is? You know how difficult it is? How difficult could it be to not message a minor? Like, just don't, man. If you're gonna fucking cheat on your wife, at least make sure, or at least attempt to, make sure that it's someone of age. And I know there's a lot of people arguing, it's like, oh, but what's the difference between like a 17-year-old's maturity and an 18-year-old's maturity? Why on the day is it suddenly okay and why not? It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. It's still creepy. What the like, dude, what defense is that? That was the Drake defense. It's like, if I was fucking some minors, I would have been locked up and shit because I'm famous or whatever. Shut the fuck up with your irrational, stupid way of thinking. No offense, man, but come on. You were owning up to it. You owned up to your mistake, but then you also backtrack on it by saying, well, it's not like I actually did anything. It's the same when like people cheat or whatever. It's like, well, I was just messaging. I didn't actually. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Anyways, I don't want to get into that. Let's get into some positive things. What is something that's positive? Oh, I've been rewatching the Powerpuff Girls just because on Netflix. Man, they did a lot with a little. There was like on episodes, there's certain episodes that have no backgrounds. They just keep using like color backdrops with the Powerpuff Girls staying in a single pose with some slight indication of movement and their mouths moving. And they would have an entire episode about this, and it was like 10-minute episodes. But like, I never realized how much they did with the little that they had. And granted, this was all hand drawn, but man, props to those people for doing as much as they did with as little as they had. It was, it's interesting going back and watching some of that, and I might end up rewatching some more animated shows from the past like this to kind of see, as someone who animates, how they had creative ways to make something visually interesting with as little resources as they had. It's quite fascinating. So yeah, I've been rewatching the Powerpuff Girls, interestingly enough. Quite enjoy it. Mojo Jojo still as entertaining as I thought he was, and him being the creepiest fucking villain I've ever seen in my life. I don't think there's any villain in any show that has ever made me feel more uneasy than him. So good on you, Powerpuff Girls. And on the like sentiment of, or on the subject of Cartoon Network, I also recently watched a Wired interview. I think it's Wired, where celebrities answer questions, and it was the creator of Dexter's Laboratory, whose name I cannot remember right now. But it was an interesting interview to watch. I quite enjoyed it. So if you do want to give something like that a watch, I'd say give it a try. It was quite interesting. It was a fascinating look into the processes and the thoughts behind animation, and seeing someone that worked in that space just kind of still be as passionate as he is right now, talking about a property that he worked on that long ago, who's interestingly enough worked on Hotel Transylvania, or the series of Hotel Transylvania, recently. And something interesting that he said in the interview is he touched on the use of basic animation principles in a 3D animation landscape. So squash and stretch and stuff like that, they put a really big emphasis on in the Hotel Transylvania movies, which gave it a very different feel to a lot of your like Pixar animations and Disney animations as of late, which is weird because animation has become this thing where they're becoming more grounded and real through use of animation, but the whole point of animation is to make things not grounded and real. But yeah, give that a watch if you feel so inclined. And on the theme of animation, there is a YouTuber that I think people should really give a look. He doesn't have a lot of content, but he had, as someone who's relearning animation and kind of trying to grow within that space, I obviously get recommendations to YouTube channels that, you know, are basically about animation, and the YouTube channel is called Epicness at Peak. Now, I saw a little reel on Shorts of him saying, so you want to learn how to animate smoothly, right? And then he throws a ball and the ball hits him in the face. And just to go to his channel because of that video, because I thought it was funny and it was quite a funny little short, I go to his channel, I watch the video about animating smoother, and I learned a lot. Only to fucking realize and discover that this prick is only 17 years old. 17 fucking years old. I am not 17. I am much older. Not much older. That's a stretch. I am older. I'm an adult. And I'm learning animation from a kid that's 17. Yeah, I was so mad, but also so proud at the same time, because it's like, I'm upset that I'm not that good, but it is also kind of nice to see how talented someone is, and just go support him. It's pretty dope. I learned a lot in that video. I'm probably going to rewatch it a few times still to kind of pick up on some of the tips and tricks that he does hand out to just make his animation process easier. But it's annoying how talented he is. So go give that a watch and a try if you feel so inclined, if that's the type of thing you enjoy. I think his only fallback is that he doesn't really know what to animate, which, dude, just continue, man. You're fucking good. Just continue to animate. The ideas will come, but damn, dude, like, that was embarrassing for me. But then the other thing that I watched recently, which I do think people should give a try, is a channel called Bullets and Blockbusters. They have a series called What Could Have Been, and they usually... seems like the theme is talking about movies, nostalgic movies, but a lot of them are surrounding comic book movies. So like what could have been Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4, or I think it's James Cameron's Spider-Man and stuff like that. And what could have been the Fantastic Four sequel or Fantastic Four reboot if the Josh Trank actually got to portray his original vision. And it's quite a fascinating series. I think just go give it a try if that's the type of thing that you're into. I always like hearing about the behind the scenes going ons about stuff like that. So, and in the film industry specifically. So if that's something that you want to put on in the background, I have been putting on in the background at work lately, and it's quite entertaining. So give that a go if you feel so inclined. And I think that's it for today's episode. I'm not going to go into deep. I'm going to probably just tag myself now and just shout out myself. So as always, find me on YouTube at the TriPod on YouTube, sorry. And then also at Stanimation on YouTube, or Stanimation YouTube on YouTube, if you want to find my animation stuff. And you can find me on Twitter, I think, at the TriPod or at _ the TriPod, one of those things. I don't know, I'm not going to check. And then on Instagram, you can find me at underscore the real Stan, if I'm not mistaken, or it's at the real underscore Stan. Who fucking knows? I don't. I just know my name is Stanimation on there, so who cares? Maybe I'll find structure in this crap someday, but not today. That's all I know. And until next time, I suppose I'll keep this unprofessional, so yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of the podcast. Peace out. You know what? I am unending the podcast because I'm not done with this whole Bronny James being drafted to the LA Lakers thing at all. You know what fucking really pisses me off about that entire situation? I don't see you averaging 27 points per game at the age of what, like fucking 39, 20 odd years into the NBA, still averaging those points. I don't see you being the leading scorer all time in NBA points fucking ever, being in conversation literally year to fucking year, being in conversation as to being the greatest basketballer of all time in the same breath as Michael fucking Jordan. I don't see you being that person. You know, if LeBron James wants to bring in Bronny into the LA Lakers, let him do that. Let him fucking do that. I don't understand why people have a gripe with this. This pisses me off a lot more than I think it should piss me off, because it's not like I'm pro nepotism. I think it's stupid a lot of the times, but at the same time, it's the greatest, arguably one of the greatest basketball players of all time, bringing his son into the NBA, which has not happened before. We have not had a father-son duo in the NBA ever, at least not that we know of, allegedly. Why are people complaining? I don't. Who would not have done that? People are such fucking hypocrites. Paul Pierce, I think, made a statement of like it being, this is entertainment, this is not basketball. JJ Redick being assigned as the head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. Bronny being drafted at number 55. This is for entertainment. What the fuck else is sport? It's not just a competition. It is entertainment. It is entertainment, people. Entertainment. It is entertainment. That is how they get paid. It's by drawing eyes to the product. That is why we do this. Why is it now a problem that we are doing more things to bring more eyes to the product? It is good for the sport. Why do we hate on it? Because some kid is going to be making $2 million and fucking 3-year contract or whatever contract he has with the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't even know. I don't fucking care. I would cut my own fucking nutsack off to be on a $2 million deal, fucking 1-year deal. I don't care. 3 years, 5 years. I'd do it for 10 years. 2 mil, 10 years, dollars? Sure. Why not? And play in, you know, arguably one of the most watched American sports there are, in a league that is probably renowned worldwide, not just in America, as one of the best leagues in that sport ever. Why do we have a problem with this? Why do we love to hate? I don't fucking get it. Why are we so mad at people when they get the opportunity to live out their dreams, when we would literally... If I told you, hey, I will give you $5 million to be on the same team as your dad, playing in whatever sport of choice you have, whether it's baseball, basketball, fucking ice skating, I don't care, professional bowling, badminton, I don't care. You could have, every kid out there being mad, every adult out there being mad probably has enough fucking daddy issues backed up in their back pocket to actually want this sort of thing with their dad. Fucking playing catch professionally with your dad. Playing catch with your dad for the first fucking time. And I told you, you know what? I'd also give you $2 million fucking dollars to do so. You would take it. Why is everyone suddenly fucking, for the love of the game, for the sport, it's about what's right and what's wrong, and nepotism this, nepotism that. Yet if I told you, hey, would you like to pack my lunch for the next 2 fucking years of your life? Just pack it. You don't even have to make the food. Just pack my fucking lunch for 2 years and you'll get $5 million for those 2 years on that contract. You would fucking do it. Where would your pride be then? Where would your love for the sport be then? You know, the sport of packing lunches, that whole fucking domestic sport. We all love it. Fucking hate. People are so, it's such a fascinating thing about the human psyche, where we get so caught up in this bullshit that we really, really get passionate about hating on someone else being successful. And I know it's something that is not new. I'm not fucking breaking new ground here. It just grinds my gears because who gives a fuck? This has brought so much attention and so much eyes to the sport. Be grateful. Be grateful that your great sport of fucking NBA basketball that was started by a bunch of fucking white men that is now being outplayed by every fucking person that is not white. Just get over it, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate that there are names with pull. Even the Ball brothers. We didn't like fucking the fact that they were there, but we can't say that it wasn't for the better of the sport. At least for a short while, was getting a lot of casual eyes on the sport, which someone in that little space that happened to watch the sport because Lonzo Ball was there, or whatever fucking Ball brother was there. I don't know. Melo was there, right? That is the reason someone started actually playing basketball, and that could be the potential reason why we end up having our next LeBron James, or next Michael Jordan, or Jason Tatum, or Kobe Bryant, or Shaquille O'Neal, or fucking whomever, one day, fucking someday, somehow, right? Let's quote fucking Nickelback while we're at it. Someday, somehow, we're gonna make it a right, but not right now. I don't see what the fucking problem is. It's better for the sport as a whole. Get off your fucking horse. Because the thing is, I know there's a lot of people that are legitimately angry about this. Why? There are bigger things to be fucking angry about, like Dr. Disrespect, fucking messaging a minor, or maybe the alleged allegations against Drake, yet we'll listen to his fucking music and continue to do so. The allegations against R. Kelly that we brush off, the allegations against fucking Chris Brown that we don't take so serious. Why are people so concerned about this? It's just a kid playing some fucking basketball and he's being paid a shit ton of money. If someone told me, I am not a fucking tall man, if someone told me right now, we will give you a contract into the NBA just because, I don't know, you're the fucking bastard son of Blake Griffin, I would take it. And if they told me, you know what, the world's going to hate you because you're below 6 feet and you shouldn't deserve to be in this because you've never played a lick of basketball in your life other than being inspired by Troy Bolton from fucking High School Musical 1 and 2, and that's why you picked up the love for basketball. True fucking story, by the way. That's why I watch the NBA now, is because of Zac fucking Efron as a twink in a High School fucking Musical movie. That is why I watch it. That's why I watch NBA now. Now, if I was someone that happened to be, I don't know, 6'7" and 293 pounds, maybe that would have amounted to something. It fucking didn't, which kind of doesn't prove anything in my point, but it's besides the fucking point. It's just like, that could have led to someone becoming one of the best fucking basketball players in the world. I've heard people become the best at what they do, or great versions of what they do in sports, because they just saw someone who inspired them. And maybe this whole Bronny James, maybe there is an era of kids that watch Bronny James as LeBron James' son. There's going to be people that don't know how good LeBron James was because they didn't see Cleveland LeBron, the first Cleveland LeBron. They didn't see Miami Heat LeBron. Interestingly enough, that's when I got into fucking basketball really big, because it started showing on we got ESPN eventually on our little dish satellite TV, and then That's when I started watching basketball. It's during the 2013-2014 season. And the team that I chose to support just happened to have my two favorite colors. It was the first game I ever saw was a Miami Heat game. They wore the black and the red, my favorite color combination. It was a basketball that was on fire. I am sold. And then it just so happened to be the team of Dwayne Wade and the GOAT. That's the fucking two people. And shit. I'm getting derailed now. It doesn't fucking matter. That's when I started watching basketball. And the reason I got hooked to it was because of fucking High School Musical. That's where my interest came. And just imagine, there's some kid that watches Bronny James play video games, and he's talking about his basketball and his love for it and wada. And that's why they end up becoming basketball players. And they end up being a Jason Tatum. They end up being a Kevin Durant. They end up being a Steph Curry. A lot of people get annoyed, for example, similarly to Steph Curry ruining the game of basketball because he keeps shooting threes from outside the perimeter and blah, 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 blah. And it's ruined basketball for everyone. Shut the fuck up. There are kids now that can make those threes at the age of like 9, 10. It didn't ruin basketball. It has opened up the opportunity for people from different perspectives and different aspects. And we should celebrate that. So shut the fuck up. Just let it happen, man. Just let it fucking happen. We look at other sports and the opportunities that came to people that were presented by the fact that people were either mildly or massively successful before them. And we don't denounce that for some reason. But as soon as it hits too close to home, we want to just fucking lose our marbles. Get the fuck over it. Get over it. Grow up. Be an adult. Get over it. It is stupid. I hate it. Shut up. Get the fuck over it. Where, like, literally, you think about people like, I don't know, Cody Rhodes in the WWE. For those who are WWE fans, we got Cody Rhodes in the WWE because of someone as great as Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes before him. He's a legacy superstar. Randy Orton, same thing. Legacy fucking superstar. That type of shit just tends to happen, and why are you allowing WWE fans to be smarter than you? Huh? Basketball, professional, real sport. That's an entertainment sport, so it's okay there. Nepotism is fine there. Why are you letting them be smarter than you? Be fucking smart, you dumbass. Like, most people that are like greatly successful had some sort of push in life, but we fucking hide behind stories of them on our Facebook feed or WhatsApp statuses, for those who use WhatsApp, or Instagram statuses or fucking whatever, and it's a picture of some fucking someone, maybe, I don't know, Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or fucking Elon Musk or some sort of other fucking fuckwit that's on there with some stupid motivational quote that wasn't even said by them in black and white, or with Thomas Shelby in the fucking background, and it's a quote from Steve Jobs that we put on our status as middle-aged dads to then like portray or at least project some sort of motivation for success to people. But these people also had a head start in life. Like, just get the fuck over it, man. Anyways, I just had to get that off my chest. People's hypocrisy just fascinate me, and it's like never ending, and I'm probably going to edit this out. I don't really fucking care anymore. I just get so annoyed by it. Like, I used to be one of those people that would get upset, if someone was successful because they got it easy in life. But you know what? The only reason I was upset back then is because I was bitter because it wasn't me. I would take it in a fucking heartbeat. Like, even with all the pride that I have, which is a lot. I mean, I am of Portuguese descent. I have a lot of fucking pride. Even I would, if someone... I'm choking on my own words. I was choking on my pride. My fragile masculinity. If someone told me fucking tomorrow, right? Like, I've been in positions in my life where I've struggled a lot. And if someone then came up to me and be like, hey, by the way, I am your illegitimate father that is the fucking Prince of Norway. I don't know why I said no. The fucking Prince of whatever, right? Oh, the king of whatever. And you are my long-forgotten prince son. And here's all the riches to every fucking castle or whatever. You, like, fuck pride, man. Like, Sure, I'd want to work hard to get the stuff that I want in life. There's no denying that. But if I just look at the differences I could make in the people that matter to me in my life's lives, if I just took that and swallowed my fucking pride, why would I hesitate? I could have generational wealth. I could change people's lives for the better. Friends, family, people that I don't even know that well. It doesn't matter. I could create so much more opportunity. Why would I not take it? I know not everyone turns out to be a great person that gets these opportunities and gets life that easy. You need some sort of hardships to grow some character, right? Like, I don't think character can just be taught. Some people get taught character really well, but I do think hardships are also necessary in order to grow some character, and sometimes even observation of hardships is enough. But the point that I'm trying to get to is that, like, if we want to have opportunity for people that are going to end up being great people, if we want that opportunity for them to also come easy, there is no good without the bad, right? You can't live in this world where, oh, you don't mind nepotism as long as it goes to people that end up being great, but then you do mind it when people end up being kind of dickheads or spoiled brats. It's like, you can't have one without the other. You've got to have equal opportunity just available. So just shut the fuck up, man. Like, we're all adults. Like, we'd all take that in a heartbeat. I don't know what the problem is. You look at like Adam Sandler and all his friends. If I was fucking as rich as Adam Sandler, do you not think I would make a bunch of movies and take a bunch of holidays with all my friends if we could just go on holiday and shoot the shit and then make a film out of it? Why would I not do that? I'd be a shitty friend if I didn't. And you all know that. We all fucking know that. So anyone or any person that has a problem with it, shut up. Please shut up. Get over yourself. Grow up. And good night.